Haven't done this in a while. I've been probably missing doing this. A little bit of dancing with the devil, a little bit of darkness. A couple months worth of darkness. I'm coming out the other end of it. Nothing worse for the wear, but relatively okay. How's everyone handling this Christmas joy season? Santa Claus. How's that working out? When I was younger, when I was something like early 20s, I think, there was this game called Halo. Maybe some of you know about it. And we played it on the Xbox. Yeah, played it on the Xbox 360. It's so funny, like all of the occult stuff is in everything. It's permeating through all of the brands, and the brands sustain the dis-ease of the system. Xbox 360. That's your circle. 360 degrees. And it's also the clock, because the clock is a circle. And it's close to the number of days in a year, but not exactly. The X is the cross. And the box is the cube. There's cube references everywhere. Or the Mecca, the Kabbalah. And it sucks you in while you're playing it. So anyway, I used to play on this cube thing, this video game, and it was called Halo. It was set in a world that was like this. It was this giant miles. I don't know how big it was, but it was like a, what are those things called? Those Mobius strips? You know, where there's a twist? The Halo was a Mobius strip without the twist. So like a flat thing that just went around. And then the people lived on the inside of the flat part. And I think it just spun to simulate gravity. So all the players are somewhere on that world, or that spinning thing. And it was called Halo. And it was a war game. It was a first-person shooter, multiplayer, online war game. And I got hooked into that. That thing hooked me so bad, I got addicted. I got fully addicted to that game. And I would spend hours playing online, playing Halo Live. Spend the whole night. I'd wake up I would fall asleep at 5 a.m. The girlfriend at that time didn't like it. Understandably so. And of course it fucked with my sleeping patterns and everything else that was going on, but my point in telling this story is that I used to get so keyed into the gameplay and how it was playing out. If I started to get what we call in chess going on tilt, which is getting upset about the game or getting upset about my own gameplay, then I would keep playing to try to get out of tilt and try to get back to something where I was happy with my play. And if I wasn't able to pull out of that, it would just get worse and worse. It would go down, down, down. And the way the deaths would happen, are the, you know, the kills, the sniper headshots, the laser, the grenades, the, you know, there's a sticky grenade. There's like this glowing blue grenade that you would fling at somebody, and it would just go and stick on. If it hit any part of their body, it would stick, and then it would count down like 5 seconds, and it would blow up. There was lots of different ways to destroy your opponents, but when I got keyed into the game and I was angry, it was a slippery slope down to the way I would die would get more and more inside of my head. So it felt like the game was reading my mind and my frustrations, and then it seemed like it would arrange the deaths in such a nuanced way, keyed into my own state, that it pushed the frustration and the anger and pushed it until eventually I would scream, or I would just cuss somebody out, or I would sometimes every once in a while just throw the remote, just like smash it against the wall, you know. I broke a couple controllers, and it was, you know, it was real. It was a real thing. That thing was actually somehow keying into my state. And of course, you can play it either way, visualizing how that's achieved. You can say, I'm creating my own reality, and therefore, if I'm in this rage state, then, you know, I know how to lose in such a fashion that it's the most, just like, most getting in there and annoying and biting and getting to the depths of my emotional nuance, anger nuance. You could say that it's that, or if you want to be the conspiracy theorist side, you could say, well, they programmed the game to read your brain waves, and it keys in off of those. Of course, you know, the second one is less of a, it's kind of hard to have the second one and also have the other people that are playing. I wasn't playing bots, I was playing live humans. To have them have sort of autonomy in their own movements, unless just each individual being is so good at being in their own reality bubble that it's too much of a stretch to say the other person on the other side was somehow in on the nuanced frustration. I don't know how, if that second one is even possible to really conceptualize. The first one is more reasonable, just that you create your own reality, and however it happens, however it works, or the reality creates you, whichever. It's one thing though that's happening, and it's intimately keyed in with everything that you are, all of your emotions, all of your mentalizings, thoughts, all of that together. It comes together and it creates this recipe, flawless recipe, to give you what you need in that moment. And what I needed in those moments was to feel that most intense possible hatred and rage through a video game. I still get that sometimes when I'm playing chess. I've trained myself to leave off of the expectations, because with all games, the expectations are set due to the rating system. And I know in my mind what my rating is supposed to be, generally speaking, even though it fluctuates. And if I don't perform according to what I know I have been or have been capable of, then that pisses me off if if I'm in the tiltable state. If I'm not, if I'm in meditative state, or you could even say exploring, because when you're in a rage, you're as focused as possible in on that one exact thing that's happening, and your own, like, ego self. That thing, the record is your ego self. Like my own record, my mental record of my past performance is my ego self. So if I'm tied in on that, then everything else disappears, All of the possibilities, the multiverse disappears, the infiniverse disappears, and it's just me and my problems. And that's all that exists. And it's all feelings. It's not mentalizing. Mentalizing is like mentalizing. The rationalization is the after. It's like the thing that's applied on after life is happening. So life is happening, lots of shit flies around, people run into each other, they scream at each other, murder, rape, killing sometimes happens, you know, sometimes you get punched in the face. All sorts of, you know, tears and sadness and melancholy, depression, joy, excitement, some of that's still around, I think, somewhere. But all these things, these emotions are happening, and these are the life. The life is the emotions. That's the presence. And then the mind comes in afterwards, and it throws some words on top of that situation that happened, which was emotional. The situations, ooh, someone just ate shit. He hit a railroad track. Oi. The situations are emotional. See, like that dude feels super embarrassed right now because he just ate shit. But I'm like, dude, I've eaten shit a billion times on my skateboard, hitting a pebble. So you come in with your mind afterward, or whoever. The companies do that. The companies come in with mind. The companies would like to pretend, oh, we're just mind. We don't have any emotions. We don't bother with the emotions. We have our rule book, and we have our playbook, and we have our company guidelines, and we have our standards, and they're all written down, and they never change. That's what the brands, the record keepers, would like to have everyone believe, is that everything, it's all written down. There's actually no need to live anymore, basically, because everything's already been done, and it's all written down, and every single new thing that appears is judged in contrast to that which has already come to pass. But the problem with mentalizing things, which is what this society is comprised of, is mentalizing things. And it's obviously degenerating, but the problem with that is that every single thing can be rationalized. Everything. Every standpoint from every single argument can be rationalized, and the person who's rationalizing it will believe it without fail. It's like Matt was saying in his video about you know, the countries who send troops out for war efforts. No country ever, when in its own history books or its own press releases, says, you know, when we invaded, you know, Afghanistan, you know, we fucked up. That was a bad decision. You know, we killed people, we murdered people. In fact, you know, maybe we weren't even there for what we said we were there for. Maybe we were there to protect drug trade or whatever else. Maybe. But basically, we fucked up. And we were bad for going to war. They don't ever say that. They say, the reason why we're very excellent for doing this is because such and so and such and so. And if the populace for that particular country who's rationalizing their aggressive behavior doesn't fall in line with that, you know, then they're treasonous, right? They're not patriotic, and thus they deserve to get shot or killed or ostracized or blackballed, or, you know, which all of those have a variety of forms, all the way from emotional in a interpersonal relationship at the bottom, just with your loved one, all the way up through corporations and law and big business. All of those techniques are always used when a member of the herd is like, you guys are like normally full of shit, but on this one you're really, really like reeking and leaking out of your pores, and you're like over flooded with shit on this one. Then if that goes against the rationalization that has come, then they're shunned. And people don't like pain. Who likes pain? Some people do like pain. But I mean, it doesn't matter. Every single aspect of a being is also their weakness. Everything that someone is like, I am this, I am that, I love this, I love that, I hate this, I hate that. Every single one of those, in terms of manipulation, is a sort of weakness. If you like something, it's a weakness. If you hate something, it's a weakness. And then so the initial response when one sees this, when one sees, okay, so all identification, all personification or personalization of my own self, my own being, by somebody is going to be taken as something that can be attacked. I went through that, and I still deal with that on a daily basis because I don't like being attacked, but that's the initial response for someone who's trying to make some sense, or at least make some anything about the situation, because it's hard to make anything out of it. That's one of the first things that happens is people say, this is just too much. It's too much shit going on. It's too much. It's too multi-layered, and it never allows anybody to rest. So you say, well, fuck all of it. I'm gonna go meditate and become enlightened and let the body shed off and all of its problems with it, and just go into the ocean of life and let it be dissolved and absorbed, and let something new come. That was my initial thing when I saw, when I took a gander at the situation at more depth. I was like, this whole thing needs to dissolve. There's not going to be a fixing that's happening. But that's the first step. The first step is like, you want to escape. You want to fix it. That's always the first step. Is let's fix it. Let's fix this monster, this drooling, all-consuming monster. Let's fix it. Let's talk with it. Hello, Mr. Monster. You've been eating everything, including yourself, for however many years or eons or whatever you've been doing, whatever you've been up to. You've been just doing it. Maybe can I suggest maybe an alternative way of behaving? You can't, that doesn't work. The consumer beast thing doesn't even have a mind, as far as I know. It's unconscious behavior, or it's the collective ego, which is unreasonable. It's an unreasonable stance, period. So to try to reason with something that is made up of falseness or image, you'll find out pretty quickly that it's kind of a waste of breath to do that. But then after that initial thing that everybody has to go through, which is like, okay, I can't fix the system, can't fix it, can't fight it, and well, then escape is like the third one, or become enlightened and disappear. Let the personality that's causing all the pain for everyone in the first place, let that disappear, like all of the masters say to do. It still becomes a problem if you as a human being would still like to interact with others in at least a small amount of norms. If you don't want to simply just remove all intent from your moment, and remove all conception of past and future from your moment, and simply be and let happen what happens, and let your own self react how you react without having any forethought or afterthought. If you don't want to just do that, then you have to go to the other thing, which is, okay, I have to have some norms, and I have to have some standards of behavior, some records, and how do we have this and not, enrage the beast and have the beast come and try and eat you too, and not enrage all of the ones who are suckling the beast, because same thing will happen on a lesser level. like how to do that. That's kind of where I'm at right now, because I'm not interested in poofing off into thin air and disappearing and being in the you know, that state, because that's where we're there anyway. That's where you go back to eventually. You're always there when you're doing this anyway, but you forget about it. But we even take that thing, which is what Muji calls isness, and we take that and turn that into some sort of game that we're like, oh, let's try and get the thing. And he's always laughing, because he's like, you already have the thing, you are the thing. You can't run from it anyway, even if you tried. So in that aspect also, all of this is okay. All of the sickness and the dis-ease, homeless, things breaking, just systems crumbling under everyone's feet, all of that, you know, in the highest aspect is absolutely normal and actually meaningless, because everything fades anyway. All the phenomenal fades anyway. But still, knowing all that, even feeling that, having been to this and that state, the existence itself continues because it wants to continue. If it didn't want to continue, then it wouldn't continue anymore. So it's the existence, having you around still, is wanting something with you. And I think for us, or for me at least, it's finding out what it is that the whole wants with me. Like, what does it want with me? Because I know what happens if I try to get in on what do I want from this thing that I'm inside of. What do I want from it? And then, you know, go and grab this and grab that, and, you know, patchwork together some sort of a thing I call life, my life. I know when I try to do that forcefully, that exacerbates the trouble. It makes the problems worse. It doesn't ever fix them. So it's a matter of balancing between what I prefer, which is the meditative space, which keeps me connected to the other aspects of myself that are not consciously present in this incarnation, but it also allows me to move in and with the world and interact with it and not feel like an outsider, not feel ostracized, not feel shunned, not feel judged, all these things. That's the balance that I always am striving for. Conceptualizations are almost useless. Almost. I don't want to say completely useless, but it's very close. I know we love doing it because every time you have a thought form and you say, let's try doing this thing, you are literally playing God. You are being God in a lower aspect sense. But from that level, from the blocked level that we're at, it ends up causing pain because you're conceptualizing with too small amounts of information. You're creating with a too much small amount of information and too small amount of energy. Because if you're in that sort of grabby, like grab this idea, patchwork it onto that idea, take notes down, like that's the scientific method. That is what's gotten us to this situation in the first place, and it works. Like science works, you know, creation via casting magic word spells over and over and then recreating them via the scientific method works. Otherwise we wouldn't have cars. I wouldn't be inside of a car right now. We wouldn't have houses. We wouldn't have cell phones. We wouldn't have any of this stuff. But it's not it's a step removed. It's at least one step removed. if you don't take that first step, then the existence is already there, and you're already there, and you're already it, and it's fine, no matter what your situation. So you go into the conceptual mind, and you create the scientific method, and then you start making shit, and then you start slave bonding people to that shit that you made via names and social security numbers, then you have a recipe for lots of sadness and misery and whatnot. But I don't personally myself know the way out of that situation, and I don't, I'm not interested in trying to find the way out of that situation. That's how I see it. That's what I see that it is. Anyway, let me know how you guys are doing, guys and girls, over the holidays. I know, much as the holidays like to pretend that it's all about joy and whatnot, it's usually about bickering and feeling stressed out about not looking correct and stuff like that. Not for everybody. Some people manage to have Christmas that is full of joy and love and thinking about Jesus and whatnot, but I think more than not are on the other side, the greater side. So, but if you do have a Christmas, experience that is just lollipops and meadows and chirping hummingbirds. Hummingbirds don't chirp. Chirping sparrows, meadowlarks, peaceful fountains and streams just running by. Your toes are just, dribbling the water. You're sun tanning. Like, if any of you had a Christmas like that, where it's just like, oh, Christmas is here, I can finally relax, then let me know. Peace.